So before I start, let me ask you a question. What's the opposite of artificial intelligence? Anybody? What's the opposite of artificial intelligence? It's natural stupidity. And I've had natural stupidity for quite a long time, so I need artificial intelligence. And so today I want to tell you about the 3 key trends that are changing the world with AI. And I want to start by showing you an example. So this is an arm that can see. It has a camera in the palm of its hand. It's got Raspberry Pi in here. It's connected to the cloud. And whatever the camera in the palm sees, the cloud service can interpret and then tell what to do with the fingers. So if you want to grab an object, you bring it over, and then you, with a muscle sensor, you can trigger the movement of the fingers so that it can actually grab that arm. Let me show that to you with a video. So this is that device. It's now being brought over a key. Okay, see what happens. You see on the right side what the camera in the palm of the arm sees. And then it classifies that image, and then it grasps that. It classifies it and it takes a pincer grip. And then with the twitch of an arm, you can release it. Now watch it as a wine glass is brought close to it. It selects a palmar action, closes all the fingers to lift that up. And then with another muscle twitch, you can release it. So what's really cool about it is that not that it is a 3D printed arm, that it has got electronics here, but the cloud service behind it, in the cloud that gives this intelligence. It gives it autonomy. It gives it new behavior. And that cloud service can be programmed. And it can be programmed to make any movement that the fingers should do. That is the first trend that I want to talk to you about. So the very first trend is a cloud AI service behind every device. And the device might be a prosthetic like this one, or it might be an IoT device of any type. But now the intelligence in the cloud gives it new behavior, and that behavior can be trained and programmed. So let's take a look at this particular device, how grip classification works on that arm. So there's a muscle sensor that I can attach to my body. That is just a trigger for closing the fingers. There's a camera. The data goes into a Raspberry Pi. But then the magic is in a custom vision service, the Azure custom vision service, that can actually be trained. It can be shown images of objects, and the fingers can be set in the right way so that when that kind of an image comes, the right finger movement is made. That's learning. So it can be learned, and then there are servo motors in the arm, and that's controlled by an Arduino board. And so the behavior is just sent to that Arduino board to move the servo motors. And in fact, those fingers were being moved by fish lines. All very simple to set up. So 2 undergraduates did this. And this is, again, the power of democratization of AI that's happening. Hamayal Chowdhury from the University of Ontario Institute of Technology and Samin Khan from University of Toronto built this device for the Microsoft Imagine Cup competition. And they were the winners in 2018. So 2 undergraduates can do this with just a few weeks of work. So why is this revolutionary, especially in this context of prosthetics? So there are 1 million amputations that happen every year. Just imagine the impact this could have. That's about 1 amputation every 30 seconds. There are 30 to 100 million people in the world who live with limb loss. And only 5 to 15% of these folks have access to prosthetic devices. And even though prosthetics have been around since the days of the Egyptian mummy, That on the left, by the way, is an artificial toe that you can see in the Cairo Museum. And the right is an iron arm of a medieval knight. When he lost his arm, they created a prosthetic. Even though these devices have existed for such a long time, they are very limited in availability. They are expensive. Those bionic arms that you have seen today, those cost tens of thousands of dollars. They're not widely available. It's not like you can buy it online and just go fit it when you have an injury. They are also very difficult to interface with your body. I was talking to an engineer about a month back who had lost his arm when he was 8 years old, and he only could have a decorative arm because the stump was too small for a bionic arm to interface with the stump. And he saw this presentation I gave, and he was incredibly inspired because for the first time now he has hope of recovering lost function, because there is now an autonomous arm to which you can express your intent, and the arm does the rest of it. And it can be trained to do so. Which brings me to the next point, which is most of these prosthetic devices that we have are limited by even our nervous system. We have to learn to control them. It's like learning to ride a bicycle, but that's hard. And what if you're tired? What if you're sick? Then you can't do that very well anymore. And what if now you had the liberation that is brought about by a completely autonomous assistive device that can be as effective 24/7, even if you're tired of, we are sick. By the way, all of us, we're going to grow old and we're going to need assistive devices. And that's one area, by the way, where AI will have a profound impact, where devices like this will have autonomous intelligence. And what we have to do is to express our intent and our goals, and then that will change everything. So think about how we are breaking the limits here. So, for example, in this particular case, we brought very cheap electronics. And that was the one that sends the data from the camera. We had 3D printing, which helped create the device. The 3D printing can be done all over the world. Anybody could manufacture it. Manufacturing can be democratized. Then you bring in the magic of a cloud service. That cloud service is incredibly important because an AI service living in the cloud can collect data from all the devices. It can integrate data. You can train it. You can customize it. You can even have social phenomena where other people could train that device for you. You can have a whole community around it. And imagine when you can bring all of this for a low cost. That particular device costs about $100 to make. When you can bring all of these capabilities together, from the devices, the connected devices, to 3D printing, to intelligence in the cloud, and bring it all in a system, then you can revolutionize the world. That is the future of prosthetics and all devices in many ways. There is going to be an AI service behind every one of them. And what you're going to see are these devices that are affordable, in the case of prosthetics, that are intelligent, that are cloud-powered, and those that are personalized, that learn what you need it to do. And what you will be doing is expressing your intent and your goal to a system or a service, and then the rest of the details are taken care of by that AI service. It is truly augmented intelligence, intelligence that augments humanity's power. So that's the first trend. Now, to the second trend, and by the way, you will have realized now how empowering something like this can be. And you're already seeing some of this in a mobile phone. Every time you touch a phone app, you're touching a cloud service in some ways. Some of them are AI-powered, and they're going to be intelligent. But this is game-changing when it comes to healthcare and prosthetics. So now to the second big trend, cloud APIs that democratize AI. You know, as I said in the presentation in my panel earlier, a lot of AI should be like calling sort functions. Somebody would have built a lot of the sophistication into an API. By the way, this is not necessarily that new, the productization of it. Like, for example, none of you go build a glass. A glass or a cup that you drink from is actually a very sophisticated thing made in sophisticated factories with machines with specific tolerances and yield and so on. Why can't a lot of AI be the same way, productized the same way? And that's happening. So there are cloud APIs now for vision, for speech, for language, for knowledge, not only in Microsoft's cloud, but in Google's cloud and Amazon's cloud as well. So for example, on the face recognition is now available as an API. Computer vision, the kind of thing that can classify an object, is now available as an API, and it's trainable. And then there is custom vision. And then speech recognition. You're not going to hire data scientists to build a speech recognition system. You're going to use an API in the cloud because it's a lot of things coming together. It is speech processing, the DSP, digital signal processing, language models, expertise in that, all of that being brought together. So customizable speech recognition. Text to speech, actually reading something aloud. Language understanding, translator. Now, there are neural machine translation systems that can actually take a set of translated pairs, learn from it to actually build a translator. A translator can be built by learning. And those capabilities are available in the cloud. And then so on. Bing search, which is internet search, is available as an API. You can have the power of a Google search kind of engine that you can integrate into your software now as an API. And there are many, many more coming. So, and a lot of these are also code-free. They're customizable. You can upload data, and you can set it up to train. It's very powerful. And I want to show one really fun example of this. So this is data that one of our customers showed us and asked us, hey, can you help us organize all of this data and make it understandable? Well, this happened to be the Ministry of Justice of a large country. I can't quite tell what that country is, but that's how lots of government departments and many of our companies are. So I created a demo. My teams created a really fun demo of this type using the JFK data. So as many of you know, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. And this is such a controversial thing that the US Congress mandated that all of the data associated with the JFK assassination be released to the public last year. And out came the data, 50,000 plus PDFs. If you stack them up on the stage, it is going to be, that many tall stacks of paper. How do you organize and understand that and discover, say, who killed JFK? So can AI help? One of our engineers went after this problem. That's a fun project. They sucked in all the data into the cloud. These are PDF files. Then they applied these AI APIs that I talked to you about and digested all of that content and put that in a database, and then applied a search engine on top of all of that. And now let me show you that in a demo. If you can switch to the laptop, I'm going to show you the JFK files in action. And the magic here, by the way, is going to be all about the intelligence extracted in automated fashion from all of these PDF documents using APIs that understand language, can actually really do handwriting recognition, do image recognition, extract all of that information, and organize it in a way that then can be searched and understood. So if we can switch. Give it a minute. And as he's getting ready, the future of ETL, if you know what extract, transform, load is in data, that's itself being revolutionized in a big way by the power of AI. All of the unstructured data that you have is now something that AI can process, transform, and then you use that transformed information to reason over it, to build search interfaces on top of it, and so on. OK, so what you're seeing here right now is just a simple website with a search interface. So let me type, say, Oswald into it. And you will see when I type Oswald, immediately you saw a lot of documents come up. This is actually a scanned one where Oswald was detected automatically by OCR. This is handwritten. So there's powerful handwriting OCR now that allows you to recognize even things like this. And then down below, here's an image. It says here, Lee Harvey Oswald posing for the camera. This was understood by a computer vision service. Well, he's not quite posing there, but close enough, right? And you can even see the OCR recognizing where that is. And this is all with the power of AI APIs that were integrated. It took basically one engineer 3 weeks to build this. You can see all the relationships. You can see Oswald is related to all these other characters, like Sylvia Durand, for example. And you can see all of these terms here on the left, which were automatically extracted from the text. We can even put in custom models in the flow. And so if I say, find me all the documents with blackouts and redactions, there is an AI model that was trained to discover documents that have only redactions that are running in a pipeline, and it will show just that. Let me show you something more fun. So here you see something about Cuba. And what is Cuba doing in that? So we were searching for this, and we found something really interesting. So we searched for Castro operation. Came up with documents called Operation Mongoose. And what you find is when you look at the relationships, it turns out that the CIA hired the Chicago Mafia to try and attempt to assassinate Castro using poison pills. And there's a whole interesting story around it where they created these poison pills. They tested it out. The pill took 24 hours to dissolve in coffee. So the Chicago Mafia got cold feet and pulled out. So the assassination never happened. So we found really fascinating things like that. And let me show you one more thing. When the government releases some secret cache of documents like this, you hope your name isn't there, right? Now, my name is not in there, but one of Microsoft's products is in the JFK files. SQL Server. What's SQL Server doing in JFK files? Now, SQL Server didn't kill JFK, but it turns out when the government created a secure information facility called SCIF, Classified Information Facility, they selected SQL Server as the database and Lotus Notes as the platform for communication. So what's cool about it is you're finding these amazing facts. Now let's switch back to the PowerPoint, please. You're finding these amazing facts in the data. And what's powering it is all of the AI that is doing the knowledge management and integration and making undiscoverable things easy to find. And that's one of the powerful things that AI is enabling. So imagine all the documents that you may have lying around in the enterprise. You're going to be able to synthesize all of that and ask deep questions about it. Now to the third trend. One of the fundamental things that AI is making happen is it's changing the user interface. I want to call attention to one type of user interface that you don't really hear about all that much. Now, we understand AI is changing speech. We understand AI is changing vision. AI is changing bots. But how about writing? The pen is mightier than the sword. All of those are things that we write with our pen. You can write equations. You can draw diagrams. You can sketch things. Try typing this. Try entering this in a computer and making it possible to express yourself. Super hard, right? But now AI can help. We now have AI-powered ink, digital ink, as a service in the cloud. So here is an example. This is in PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, you can write with a pen of your choice. in a color of your choice. And you can convert that even to print fonts. So I have those. I can put a box around it. You will see it suddenly becomes printed text. It's available in PowerPoint right now, and behind it is an intelligent service. And now let's look at another example, Word. With a digital pen, imagine you being able to correct that. You say senior brand manager. You write that, and it becomes part of the text right there. Right? All of that's powered by a cloud ink service behind the scenes. Another example. What if you could write like that and make it look beautiful? We have an ink beautification service. So watch. This is the original. Now it's beautified. Original, beautified. AI can help make my handwriting look better. One more example. Here, I'm drawing diagrams. Can AI help make that more beautiful? You'll see, compare the original, compare the beautified. Compare the original, compare the beautified. Over time, by the way, this will become even better as it learns. Right? AI is enabling natural user interfaces. One other example, on a board like this.
Creativity support tool for electronic whiteboards.
Drawing.
To indicate scope, the content creator just frames part of the canvas with their non-preferred hand. This evokes the zoom catcher, which illuminates an area for selection in an extremely lightweight manner. The user can then act on the strokes, such as to recognize, but only what areas the user wants and only when the user chooses to do so.
And such capabilities are really transformative. So we've been steadily improving our ink capabilities. And so this diagram now shows how, over time, as we've had more data and more AI, things have significantly improved. So a big change happens about here in the second part. Here it was traditional machine learning. Then around 2017, we started applying deep neural networks and significantly more data and having a cloud service behind it. When all of that came together, the capabilities dramatically improved. And I want to now end with one other profound example of how AI is really changing how we communicate. This is actually an example application called Helpicto. It comes from a company called Equidex, a French company, a small startup. They created an application on mobile devices for mothers to communicate, parents to communicate with autistic children. Now, let me explain this. Autistic children who have impaired communication, the standard has been you carry a picture book with you. You carry a book of pictures, and as you talk to the child, you also show the pictures in a conversation, so it reinforces what you're saying, so you can understand it better. But this is hard to do. You have to carry a book everywhere. So this developer asked a question, why can't it all be a mobile application? Why can't the mother just speak? Speech recognition should recognize what the mother is saying, then create that pictorial conversation automatically. And that's what they did. Let's watch a video.
Arthur, c'est un autiste sévère qui n'a pas de langage, donc qui a une compréhension assez basse des choses, assez petite, et qui a 15 ans. Il était à la crèche. À un moment donné, on a eu l'impression qu'il ne nous entendait plus et le regard était plus vide. On est allé voir une pédiatre qui nous a dit tout de suite, il est autiste. On n'y croit pas. Ce qu'on lisait, c'était pas possible. Il ferait pas partie de ce tableau. Et il a fait partie du tableau le plus sévère qui existe quand même. Aucun langage, il saute partout, il crie beaucoup. Donc voilà, c'est bien fatigant le quotidien. Quand il s'énerve, c'est quand même qu'il n'a pas compris quelque chose ou qu'il veut quelque chose. Le classeur, le PEC, c'est pas quelque chose d'évident, de facile. On n'a jamais la bonne carte elle est perdue, elle est tombée sous le fauteuil. On a quand même un peu ramé. D'où l'intérêt pour lui de communiquer avec Helpicto. Je parle, je donne une information à Arthur et elle est traduite par l'application El Picto instantanément en pictogramme. Beurre. Et après, d'une façon orale.
Microsoft a développé ce qu'on appelle des cognitive services, mis à disposition dans le cloud de la reconnaissance d'images, de la reconnaissance vocale et des traducteurs automatiques de langue. Et ça, c'est important parce que c'est nous donner la possibilité à nous, PME, d'accéder à ce qui se fait de mieux en matière d'intelligence artificielle.
C'est beaucoup plus ludique, plus facile, il comprend mieux. N'importe où, en forêt, on se balade et est-ce que tu veux boire? Est-ce que tu veux faire pipi? Est-ce que tu as faim? Ça paraît pas grand-chose, mais en fait c'est énorme cette différence. C'est vraiment énorme.
Plus on utilise El Picto, mieux ça fonctionne. Le modèle va continuer à apprendre au fur et à mesure pour faire en sorte de l'optimiser et de le spécialiser.
L'autre jour, j'ai appuyé sur « On va se doucher ». Il regarde la tablette et il va dans la salle de bain. Il n'y a pas eu de cris, il n'y a pas eu de larmes. Enfin, c'était waouh, c'était super, quoi. Des petites choses comme ça, c'est une grande victoire.
AI is empowerment. Thank you. AI is the new normal. And it doesn't stand alone. When you combine the power of all of these technologies, cloud, mobile, edge devices, AI, and then on top of it, we layer human ingenuity, we will transform the world. Thank you very much.
Joseph, thank you. Thank you so much. It was fascinating to hear that. I've never heard anybody talk about the JFK files as being fun. As a journalist, I say that with great admiration for that work. But what I will say to you is it's only as good as the people that input the data in terms of finding out the truth that's out there. But I'll leave you with that thought. I just want to open the question to floors. We really do have a little bit of time. So if anybody's desperate to ask Joseph a question, please do raise your hands and we'll get a microphone to you. Gentleman over there, just in the front. If we can get, I'm going to take this one first, sorry, because we're really tight for time here. Thank you. If you could just stand up and tell me your name and where you're from, thanks.
Hello. My name's Julian. I'm from the UK. I work for an AI smart city company. You mentioned the commoditization and productization of AI, and it gives us amazing abilities, but also can give us these almost superhuman abilities to lots of people and nations. And I'm wondering, much in the same way as we have had to do in the past with weapons, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, do we have to worry about things to limit the power we give to certain people or organizations? And also, what role do corporations have in that?
Yeah. And that regulation and responsibility, if you like.
Yes.
Okay.
Question of responsibility.
Just quick if you can, Joseph. Sorry, I just want to try and get another question in.
Yeah. It's a great question. So this is the role that governments should play. One of the really important things to remember is corporations shouldn't govern governments. Governments and regulatory bodies should be the ones really helping set the civilization on the right path. So for example, Microsoft has been a big supporter of GDPR. I think it's a good step that the European governments have taken to really manage, to at least start on the journey to figuring out what regulations around data are. And I think the technology creators have an important role to educate the policymakers, to educate societies on the power of the technology and how this technology works and how the right regulation should be brought about.
We'll have to leave it there, but I hope that's answered your question. But my understanding is, from the conversation around this debate last year, it's still very much in its infancy, depending on which government and which country we're talking about and where you're operating in as well. But I'm sure there'll be more conversation around that. Joseph, we'll have to leave it there, but you're here for the next 2 days.
Absolutely.
If anybody wants to grab you and have a chat, thank you so much. Joseph Sirosh, everybody, thank you.
Take care.